Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is Radio Free Mormon on the air broadcasting behind enemy lines. Tonight's episode is Book of Mormon Money Problems. It's episode 404. I'm recording this on June 21st, 2025. Good evening. You know, there are different sections of the Book of Mormon that get more attention than others, and correspondingly, other sections of the Book of Mormon that get less attention than others. I think that what we're going to be covering tonight may be the passage in the Book of Mormon that gets the least attention of any of them, even more so than the Isaiah chapters. I am speaking, of course, of that section in Alma 11, where it sets forth in some excruciating detail the Nephite monetary system. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. And specifically, we're going to be talking about 9 issues that have been raised as I've studied it and looked at what other people have said about it as well. And we're going to be covering those tonight on Radio Free Mormon. So let's get right to it, shall we? Here is the slide, the opening slide. It says money troubles in the Book of Mormon. I decided that Book of Mormon money problems ended up sounding better, so that's the title of the show. It's the Nephite monetary system. It is found in Alma 11. And here is the first issue out of 9. The first issue with the Nephite monetary system is it shouldn't be there in the first place. Now, I want to first off say that a number of the ideas that I got, in fact, the whole idea I got for doing this show on Alma chapter 11 came about, I think it was 3 months ago in March of 2025 this year, when I was looking at a message board that I have been known to frequent in times past, more so in times past than currently, simply because of time demands. But it is called Discuss Mormonism. And back in March, they had a thread that someone had started about this very issue about the monetary system that the Nephites had, according to the Book of Mormon, and a number of good ideas were raised. And some of them may have been so sophisticated for me that I couldn't understand them really. So what I'm going to be talking about tonight are the issues that I saw there, that I've done further research on, and some that I've come up with on my own. And we're starting out of the chute here with number 1. This is one I came up with on my own. And it was interesting how it came to me. It came to me really because I suddenly remembered an article by Orson Scott Card, the famous science fiction writer who's also a Mormon, that I had read many years ago, and we'll get to that as we do so. I just wanted to give credit out there to the good folks at Discuss Mormonism and encourage anybody who wants to talk about Mormonism at a pretty high level or a pretty deep level, depending on how you look at it. That's a great place to go. So the first issue with the Nephite monetary system is, in my opinion, it shouldn't be there in the first place. It should not be in the Book of Mormon. The entire sidebar in the Book of Mormon, Alma 11, on the money system is put there in order to explain Zeezrum's bribe to Amulek of 6 onties of silver. So an onti is 7 times the daily rate of the pay of a judge, which is what a C9 is, right? Or a C-num. C9 in gold, C-num in silver. And so it's really a big amount of money, and that's why they go into all the detail of the monetary system. However, you don't actually have to go into all that detail to explain what 6 onties of silver are. We don't need all those details to understand it is a large bribe. Thank you very much. We certainly don't need to know the gold system that is parallel to the silver system, because this gold system is the same thing as the silver system, at least in the larger values. And then when you get to the lower values, lower than the C9, which is the basic unit, like our dollar in the US, the C9 or the C-num is the basic unit. And below that, the lesser values, like we would call change or coins, that we have that only in the silver system. We don't have that in the gold system. So that's what they have there in Alma 11. We definitely don't need to know the lesser measurements of the silver, right? In order to know that 6 onties is a lot of money, we don't have to get into your change and how much a $50 is or a quarter or whatever. Now, the first issue with the Nephite monetary system, as I say, is all the details in the Nephite monetary system are written for one of 2 audiences. Okay? For those who can dance and for those who can't. No, in this case, it's for those who understand it and those who don't. Number 1, it can be written to the Nephite audience who already understands the monetary system, in which case it is unnecessary because they already understand it. Or if it's not written to the Nephite audience who already understands it, it can be written to the audience who does not already understand the Nephite monetary system, in which case it is still unnecessary. We don't need all that detail. In fact, it's confusing. In fact, it's meaningless. And I can prove to you right now how meaningless it is to modern audiences who are not acquainted already with the Nephite monetary system. Tell me what it is. Nobody can tell me what it is. I asked somebody yesterday who knows a thing or two about Mormonism to tell me about the Nephite monetary system. It actually came up because I said I was going to be doing this program. And she said, yes, she understood about it and that they paid in barley. And I had to explain, actually, no, they don't pay in barley. Their barley is associated with it, right? But they're not paying in barley. They're paying in pieces of silver or pieces of gold. And that was a shock. So once again, these 10 verses get passed over, I think. Nobody spends any time, or hardly anybody spends any time with them, with the result that we don't see a lot of things that are going on there, which are significant for the Book of Mormon. So that's my proof that if it's written to an audience who doesn't already understand the Nephite monetary system, i.e., us, it's unnecessary. We don't care. We don't spend any time with it. We don't learn it. Why? Because it's meaningless to us, which gets back to the idea of why is it included in the first place? It's meaningless. All the details are meaningless for any audience for whom it could be written, whether they know the Nephite monetary system or whether they don't. Conclusion is the inclusion of the Nephite monetary system in the Book of Mormon is unnecessary, regardless of to whom it is being written. Not only is it unnecessary, okay, it is unnecessarily burdensome because we're not talking about something just being written on paper or typed out. We're talking about it has to be engraved on plates of gold. And Jacob, another Book of Mormon author, told us how difficult it is to inscribe these things on the plates of gold. Jacob 4:1, where he writes, now behold, it came to pass that I, Jacob, having ministered much unto my people in word, and I cannot write but a little of my words. Why? Because of the difficulty of engraving our words upon plates. So it is difficult. We would imagine it would be difficult. Jacob confirms that, which just makes me wonder more and more why it is they took all this time to write down the Nephite monetary system when it was completely unnecessary in the first place. Not just unnecessary, but unnecessarily burdensome to carve it into the gold plates. Next slide says, is the Nephite monetary system a red flag? I think it might be. And when I say a red flag, I mean a red flag that this is a fictional book, that it is not a history. It is actually made up, believe it or not. But I think this is a red flag that this is the case. So the next slide goes to this article, the one by Orson Scott Card that I had mentioned earlier. And he wrote it back in 1993. And about 25 years later, I think it was, Jeff Lindsay, a Mormon apologist, wrote an article published in The Interpreter, a journal of Latter-day Saint faith and scholarship, about this significant article that Orson Scott Card wrote. It's called Artifact or Artifice. That is the name of the article. And the question on this essay is where it stands after 25 years. I included this because it has a nice synopsis here at the top in the abstract where it says, when Orson Scott Card wrote the Book of Mormon, Artifact or Artifice, in 1993, he applied keen skills as an author of fiction, science fiction mostly, to help readers understand how to detect the many hidden assumptions an author brings into a text. Subtle details, such as the choice of what to explain or what not to explain to readers, can quickly reveal the era and environment of the author. The value of Card's analysis is reconsidered in light of extensive Book of Mormon studies since 1993 and has been found for the most part to have withstood the test of time well, like the Book of Mormon itself. Well, that's Jeff Lindsay's point of view. I'm not sure it's correct, but I do think it's a valuable test that Orson Scott Card mentions in his article. And what his premise is that when an author writes fiction, as if he is the person writing the fiction, okay, then it's a very difficult task to keep things straight because it is almost impossible, according to Orson Scott Card, to keep things from your current culture, i.e., the writer's culture, from coming into the text that the writer is writing. And it will happen even subconsciously. Now, obviously, Jeff Lindsay and obviously Orson Scott Card think this didn't happen in the Book of Mormon. I, on the other hand, see it all over the place, and I'll bet you can too. So let's go ahead and let's look at this article a little bit further. Oh, that's what I was going to read. I blew up that text so it'd make it easier for me to read, and then I forgot I'd done so. So I read it when it was small, but there it is, a little bit bigger, the abstract from that article by Jeff Lindsay. Now here's Orson Scott Card, and these are a couple of slides with text from his original article, which I want to read to you so you'll understand what he's getting at. It's fascinating, actually. So he's talking about very rarely, but sometimes do science fiction authors, including himself, try to pretend to be creating a document from another culture. It's one thing to write it third person, even then things can happen, right? But when you're pretending to write a document from another culture, that's the hardest of all, according to Orson. Instead, he writes, American science fiction writers make it very plain that we are 20th century Americans. It was 1993, writing to 20th century Americans. Nevertheless, occasionally, a science fiction writer or a fantasy writer does write a document that in itself purports to be from another culture. So he's going to be comparing it to the Book of Mormon here. And whether the text pretends to have been written from within another culture or not, most science fiction presents cultures that no one has ever seen, histories that no one else can verify. We write about made-up lands and made-up cultures. If the Book of Mormon were fiction, Joseph Smith or someone else must have done the same, made up a culture that no one else has ever seen. Writing something that purports to be an artifact of another culture is the most complicated, difficult kind of science fiction. Because not only is it about strange things, it must also in itself be a strange thing. Great line there, Orson. And when you have not one, but several different narrators with different rhetorical stances, it becomes even more difficult. There are different perspectives, different personalities, and the culture must change across time, so that writers from the culture early on must somehow have differences from writers in that culture later on. Yeah, I think you'll struggle to find that in the Book of Mormon between Nephi and Moroni. But nevertheless, he's putting forth the test, and I think the test is valuable. So we're talking about a very tough project, he says, one that is rarely attempted and which is almost never attempted under circumstances where you actually try to pass it off as a genuine document. Pressure's really on for the Book of Mormon. Even those of us who write science fiction publish it with the word fiction somewhere on the cover. Our name is on it as author, and we expect to get credit for our inventiveness. We don't try to say we found it like Joseph Smith did, right? So this is quite the task that Orson Scott Card sees Joseph Smith as setting himself. He thinks he passes it with flying colors. I'm not sure that B.H. Roberts would have agreed. Now, B.H. Roberts, in his seminal book and seminally suppressed book until the 1980s, Studies of the Book of Mormon, which he presented to the First Presidency and I believe the Quorum of the 12 back in the 1920s. And they didn't have a lot of answers for him, the questions he raised. He was hoping they would. He was disappointed. But here are a few things that he says about his feelings. Now, he is in the 70 of the church. This man, B.H. Roberts, is a 70. He's a scholar. He reads widely. He writes prolifically. And this is what he says about the Book of Mormon. If from all that has gone before in part 1 of his book, the view be taken that the Book of Mormon is merely of human origin, if it be assumed that he is the author of it, Joseph Smith, then it could be said there is much internal evidence in the book itself to sustain such a view. Wait a second. Okay, double take. Did he really just say that? Yes, he did. What B.H. Roberts is saying is that there's a lot in the Book of Mormon to sustain the view that it is merely of human origin and that Joseph Smith is the author of it. He goes on. In the first place, there is a certain lack of perspective in the things the book relates as history that points quite clearly to an underdeveloped mind as their origin. The narrative proceeds in characteristic disregard of conditions necessary to its reasonableness. So it writes a bunch of stories that are unreasonable on their face, and yet it continues with this disregard of the fact. Apparently, the author's not even aware of how unreasonable the narrative is that he's presenting. As if it were a tale told by a child. He could have said a tale told by an idiot. But he says, as if it were a tale told by a child. B.H. Roberts, a member of the 70s, likening the Book of Mormon to a tale told by a child with utter disregard for consistency. And he says it's not consistent either. That's page 251 of Studies of the Book of Mormon. Now, I'm reading these comments in order to counter Orson Scott Card's comments, where he seems to think, and I know he does, that Joseph Smith passes all of these tests miraculously. But B.H. Roberts, who I think has studied the Book of Mormon at least as well as Orson Scott Card, has a decidedly different opinion. And he's pretty darn high up in the church. By the way, a 70 in the church is just a step below an apostle. That's where the 70s rank in the LDS church. So he's way up there at the time he's writing this. He goes on. But in addition to the striking parallelism in these incidents of antichrists of the Book of Mormon, so what he's talking about is there's three antichrists in the Book of Mormon. There's Sherem in Jacob 7, there's Nehor in Alma 1, and there's Korihor in Alma 30. I think that's how they line up. And he's already mentioned that all of these guys are kind of the same. The striking parallelism, that's what he means. It's the same story told over again 3 times. But in addition to the striking parallelism in these incidents of antichrists of the Book of Mormon, with the strong implication that they have their origin in one mind. Well, that's the implication, isn't it? You get the same story 3 times, and it looks like the same person's writing it, that it didn't just sort of really happen the same way 3 different times in Nephite history. He says, I call attention again to the fact of rawness in dealing with this question of unbelief in the Book of Mormon. The evidence of amateurishness increasingly evident in this story of Korihor. So now he's focusing in on that third Antichrist, Korihor, in Alma chapter 30, and talking about how raw and amateurish the writing of the story is when it deals with unbelief. Does it not carry with it proof that it is the work of a pious youth dealing with the very commonplace stock arguments clumsily put together for the belief in the existence of God? Yes, this is a 70 in the LDS Church writing what he thinks of the narrative of the Book of Mormon in Alma 30. Rather than an adult appeal and argument on the great questions involved. So he's seeing this as so amateurish, and it is a youth who wrote it, not someone who's sophisticated and knowledgeable about the arguments relating to the existence of God, but a youth, albeit a pious youth, who's using the commonplace stock arguments, like all things denote that there is a God. We find that in Alma 30, remember? B.H. Roberts not impressed by the arguments put forth there. And then he writes, and is not the vindication of God and his truth by a vindictive miracle on the person of the ranting blasphemer. All right. He's talking about what happens to Korihor at the end of the story, where Alma curses him and he is rendered dumb. He cannot speak. So that's what he's talking about, the vindication of God and his truth by a vindictive miracle. That's striking him dumb, the vindictive miracle on the person of the ranting blasphemer. That's Korihor. Isn't this story, he says, rather the dream of a pious boy of what might very well have happened, rather than a matter of actual experience? He's saying this looks a lot more like something Joseph Smith made up as a pious youth than something that actually happened. I think we got one more slide from this, and then we'll continue on. I think it's really important to point out that Orson Scott Card is not singing alone in this choir in the LDS Church about the wonders of the text of the Book of Mormon and how incredible it is. Orson Scott Card is arguing that the Book of Mormon is so good at presenting itself as an ancient document that it's something that even accomplished science fiction writers couldn't get away with. B.H. Roberts is taking somewhat of a different point of view. This last slide, there were other antichrists among the Nephites, he writes, but they were more military leaders than religious innovators. They are all of one breed and brand, so nearly alike that one mind is the author of them, and that a young and undeveloped, but piously inclined mind. So he's saying all of these antichrists, including the ones that are military leaders, they're all of the same brand. It's obviously the same mind that created them all, rather than somebody writing a history of what really happened, in which case you would probably have some more differences, maybe a little bit more perhaps unique in different ways instead of all being the same. The evidence I sorrowfully admit, he writes, the evidence I sorrowfully admit or submit points to Joseph Smith as their creator. This is a 70 in the LDS Church writing this in the 1920s. This is why it was suppressed by the church. The evidence I sorrowfully submit points to Joseph Smith as their creator. It is difficult to believe that they are the product of history, that they come upon the scene separated by long periods of time, and among a race which was the ancestral race of the red man of America. So he also finds it very difficult to believe that this is happening among the ancestors of the Native Americans, as well as simply difficult to believe it happened as anybody's kind of real history. So getting back to Orson Scott Card, he's going to make a cultural confession. And this is the last slide on Orson Scott Card. By the way, the whole link here, the whole point here is still number one. This should not exist in the Book of Mormon. This is the point I'm leading to and building up toward, that the detailed monetary system in Alma 11 should not even be in the Book of Mormon. He writes, Orson Scott Card, Joseph Smith's project, the Book of Mormon, if it were a fraud, was far more ambitious than McPherson's. He's talked about some other guy historically. A much longer, more extensive work with multiple authors. We're talking about somebody jumping off a cliff here, folks. His work should proclaim itself to be a phony on every page today. Well, some might think it does. Obviously, Orson Scott Card is not one of them. This is because every storyteller, no matter how careful he is, will inadvertently confess his own character and the society he lives in. He can make every conscious effort. He can be the best educated scholar you could possibly find. But if he tries to write something that is not of his own culture, he will give himself away with every unconscious choice he makes. Yet he'll never know he's doing it because it won't occur to him that it could be any other way. Even the best science fiction writers make this mistake all the time, but we forgive it because we don't expect any better. They're not really pretending to be translating a genuine document of another culture. They're looking for readers, not believers. Okay. And he goes on to talk about how it is you can spot when the decade in which a certain piece of science fiction was written, even though they're all set in the future, or most of them are set in the future, right? You can still see the decade because of the cultural assumptions. I would suggest that the Book of Mormon has all of those markers as well. And we can tell exactly, or with close approximation, when and where it was written. All right. I mean, do I have to mention the issue, all the religious issues that the Book of Mormon resolves up to and including infant baptism? It was Alexander Campbell, a contemporary of Joseph Smith's and a religious minister and a founder of a church, who read the Book of Mormon and remarked that the Book of Mormon solves all the religious controversies in that area of New York for the last several years, right? That's how it shows. That's one of the many ways in which it shows where it was written. And it didn't occur to Joseph Smith that he's giving it away by answering all the questions that are contemporary to him in that day, because I guess it didn't occur to him that they might not be contemporary, I don't know, thousands of years ago on the Americas among the ancestors of the Native Americans, that they would be hotly debating the issue of infant baptism, among other things, and universalism. All right. So I'm not going to read the rest of this, but you can read it if you like, and you have the name of the article. You can look it up. It's really, really very, very interesting. Now, how does that tie into the Nephite monetary system? Okay, that is the question. And I'm going to answer it this way. It ties into the Nephite monetary system because why should it be there? Why should you have all the details? The temptation, according to Orson Scott Card, one of the temptations that an author has of such a document that you're pretending it's created by a different culture, one of the temptations is to over-explain things that the author, the fictional author that you're pretending is real, who's actually writing the thing, that the real author is tempted to over-explain things that the pretended author would not think needed any explanation whatsoever. Why? Because the pretended author lives in this culture and therefore would not see any need to explain something because he wouldn't know that it's unfamiliar to the audience who's reading it. Okay? If that's making sense. In other words, if you were to write a paragraph about making some toast in the morning, you would probably say, okay, I got a couple of pieces of bread out of the bag. Maybe you might even say the bag, popped it in the toaster and, hit the down thing and waited for it to pop up. Okay. That's all you do. That's because we live in the society that knows what a toaster is. And because of that, our familiarity fills in all the gaps. Like, what the heck is a toaster? What does it look like? How does the bread fit in? How does it toast it? If you're writing science fiction, the temptation of the real author is to fill all that in and describe the toaster and how it works in detail. That shows that it wasn't really written in that culture. Okay. The same thing goes along with the monetary system. The temptation, which Joseph Smith fell for, okay, succumbed to as an author of fiction, the temptation he fell for was to go into too much detail about the monetary system. When the author of the book, the purported author of the book, would not have gone into that kind of detail because that author would have assumed that knowledge on behalf of the reader. All right. So if, for example, if the Book of Mormon had just said that Zeezrom offered, I think it's Amulek, 6 aunties of silver and never said anything about what an auntie is, that would have been much more, that would have looked a lot more real. All right. Because it would have had the purported author assuming on behalf of the reader that they would already understand what an auntie is. It's when you start explaining things for the reader that you can see it's fiction, because what the author is signaling is they know it's going to be read by people who don't understand. So they're going to explain it for them. I hope this is making enough sense. But with that, with all of that introduction, I want to read to you this passage, okay? I'll read it quickly. There's no need to try and remember all the names of all the different types of weights. They're probably coins. It doesn't actually say coins. That was its own minor controversy with this particular passage, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But let me read this to you now. This is how it's described in the Book of Mormon. And with all this backup, perhaps you can see why it is that this detail is actually a red flag. All this detail is actually a red flag that the Book of Mormon is fiction and that Joseph Smith put this in here where a Nephite would not have put it into the record. Okay. Chapter 11 of Alma, verse 4 through 11, and it goes on to the next slide. Now, these are the names of the different pieces of their gold and of their silver according to their value. And the names are given by the Nephites, for they did not reckon after the manner of the Jews who were at Jerusalem, neither did they measure after the manner of the Jews. It actually says that, for they did not reckon after the manner of the Jews who were at Jerusalem, neither did they measure after the manner of the Jews. So they don't reckon or measure after the manner of the Jews. But they alter, I'm not sure what the difference is between reckon and measure, but they altered their reckoning and their measure according to the minds and the circumstances of the people in every generation and the reign of the judges, they having been established by King Mosiah. So this really does sound like a monetary system, a government endorsed and established monetary system, which sounds a lot like coins. It never says the word coins, but everybody thought it was coins until farms thought it was a problem that they weren't finding any coins. So they said, no, it's not coins. It doesn't even say coins in there. It was actually in the heading of the Book of Mormon. In the heading of chapter 11, they have the little headings in italics. It was coins up until 1981 when finally they changed it and took coins out. The heading is not scripture. It's written by somebody to try and describe what's in the chapter, but whoever had written it, I think it was Orson Pratt, another Orson, sometime before, he had thought there were coins in there. And it looks like coins, it walks like coins. It's probably coins. It just doesn't say the word coins. And so they haven't found any coins in the Americas that match these or from the time period at all. Okay. Any coins from this time period. And of course, they really haven't found any bits of weights of gold or silver either that would match what's being talked about here. So I'm not sure it helps them too much to say there were no coins. Once again, having been established by King Mosiah, going on. Now the reckoning is thus: a senine of gold, a seon of gold, a shum of gold, and a limnah of gold. A senum of silver, an amnor of silver, an ezram of silver, and an ontai of silver. A senum of silver was equal to a senine of gold, and either for a measure of barley and also for a measure of every kind of grain. You see all this detail that's unnecessary? Now the amount of a seon of gold was twice the value of a senine, and a shum of gold was twice the value of a seon, and a limnah of gold was the value of them all. And an amnor of silver was as great as 2 senums. It goes on. And an ezram of silver was as great as 4 senums. This is why everybody just blows through this, because it's absolutely meaningless and of no value to us in our society today. And an ontai was as great as them all. Now, this is the value of the lesser numbers of their reckoning. A shiblon is half of a senum, therefore a shiblon for half a measure of barley. And a shiblum is a half of a shiblon. I bet they got those two coins confused quite frequently, like the Susan Anthony dollar back in the late 70s. A shiblum is a half of a shiblon. Hey, I asked you for a shiblum. You gave me a shiblon. I thought you said shiblum. And a leah is the half of a shiblum. Now, this is their number according to their reckoning. Now, an antion of gold is equal to 3 shiblons. I'm glad they put that in there at the end. Did you follow all that? Probably not. But I'll tell you, I think that the easiest way for me to understand this, and I'm going to tell you, I've studied this more in the last week than I have ever as a member of the church, okay? I've read through it many times as I've read through the Book of Mormon. I have never really studied it like I have this week. It really isn't that difficult, okay? Just forget about all these weird names, okay? Those names can make it very difficult. There's 3 systems, okay? 3 systems talked about. 2 systems are the greater values, and 1 system is the lesser value. So you have the gold over there. You see the gold on the slide on the left, the greater values, and silver, you have the corresponding greater values to the gold. Then in silver, you have the lesser values, and only in the silver do you have lesser values. You don't have any lesser values in gold except for one outlier, and that's the antion. And that's worth 3 of the smallest silver pieces. Okay. I have no idea why that got thrown in there at the end. So issue number 2. Now that we've talked about at some length, I think, why it is that I believe that the biggest strike against the actuality of the Nephite monetary system is its presence in the Book of Mormon. I don't think it would be there otherwise. I think it's a red flag. It's actually fiction, according to Orson Scott Card's test. Issue number 2 is Adam Clarke redux, because the question is, we know Joseph Smith used Adam Clarke. Did he possibly get an idea for this monetary system from reading Adam Clarke? And the answer is, I don't know, maybe. So another Adam Clarke commentary connection. Let me show you what I mean. Adam Clarke in Exodus, in his commentary in the book of Exodus, chapter 38, verse 24, where it talks about valuable metals like gold used in the tabernacle in the wilderness. Exodus 38:24. It says, all the gold that was occupied for the work. That's from the Bible. And then to be able to ascertain, he writes, to be able to ascertain the quantum and value of the gold, silver, and brass which were employed in the tabernacle and its different utensils, altars, etc., it will be necessary to enter into the subject in considerable detail, which he does in one of the longest comments that I've seen in his commentary. It's right up there. It's almost 2,000 words that he's going to spend now on monetary systems. Yes. And this is from his commentary, the online version. This isn't everything he has to say about it. This is the first part. You'll be glad to know I'm not going to read this. All I'm going to say is that Adam Clarke in his commentary took a huge amount of time and space to talk about monetary systems, including the Hebrew monetary system, which may have made Joseph Smith think, I can come up with a monetary system for my Nephites as well. It goes on. See, there's so much that he's writing about this. And then he continues to put up a brief bullet point analysis of the Hebrew money and Attic money and Babylonish money. He quotes from different scholars on different things that he doesn't know about. Babylonish money, Alexandrian money, and Roman money. So he has all of these different kinds of monies and how they relate to each other. And here he continues to go on. So I'm not kidding. This is almost 2,000 words. This is a comment that would grab anybody's attention just because of its size, if nothing else. Now let's go back to what he says about the Hebrew money, all right? Let me mention to you that the greater values are very simple, okay? They're 1, 2, 4, and 7. You don't have to remember their names. Whether it's gold or whether it's silver, they follow the same pattern. It's 1, 2, 4, and 7, and that is what those units represent. 1 is their basic unit. That's a C9 or a senum, depending on gold or silver, okay? And if you double that, then you get to the next level. And if you double that, you get to the next level. That's 1, 2, and 4. And then an ontai is as great as them all, remember. So that's the 7, 1, 2, 4, 7. Those are the greater values that are given in the Nephite monetary system. The lesser values are just a little bit different. Remember how the greater values go? We double the first one. We got 1, then we double it, then we double it again. And then we, as great as they all, which is 7 apparently. 1 plus 2 plus 4. The lesser values go half, okay? You take the C9 or Cinum, you divide it in half, you divide it in half, and you divide it in half again. That's all. There's no as great as they all in the lesser values. I don't know how you would have that. But you divide it in half, you divide it in half again, and you divide it in half again. Very, very simple kind of system. So this is what the Hebrew money says, okay? The Hebrew money, and this is the lesser values, you have a shekel in Hebrew money. That is the basic monetary unit, like the C9 is for the Israelites, or like the dollar is in US, or like the mark is in Germany. So you've got a shekel, right? There's 2 bekahs in a shekel, just like the C9 gets divided in half among the Nephites. And then that bekah gets divided again in half in the Hebrew money to make a drachm. So Alma 11:14 says, now this is the value of the lesser numbers of the reckoning. Remember, this is just for the lesser numbers. A shiblon is half of a senum, therefore a shiblon for half a measure of barley. 2 bekahs make a shekel. And a shiblum is a half of a shiblon. 2 drachms make up a bekah or half shekel. And a leah is the half of a shiblum, excuse me. I wouldn't want to confuse any Nephites out there. And a leah is the half of a shiblum. And 2 farthings make up a drachm. So really, the lesser values of the Nephite monetary system end up matching, except for the names. The measures end up matching pretty exactly for the Hebrew monetary system. Now, it varies completely from the greater values. The greater values don't line up at all. The only similarities that I can see are in the lesser values, and there it's pretty close to being an exact match. And here's the farthing, okay? Now, this is obviously from England, right? But I learned a few things about money from this. I want to share it with you, especially about the farthing. So, a bekah for every man. This is in another place in the same page where Adam Clarke talks about currency amongst the ancient Hebrews. This is Exodus 38:26, 2 verses later. A bekah for every man. The Hebrew word bekah is not seems to signify not a particular coin, but a shekel, broken or cut in two. This is what they would do a lot of times with their coins. They would break them in two, and then you've got a half, right? You don't have to have a separate coin to have a half. You just break the first coin in half. And then it says, so anciently, our farthing, this is England's farthing, our farthing was a penny divided in the midst and then subdivided. So it's a fourth of a penny. So that each division contained the fourth part of the penny, hence its name, fourthing or fourthling, since corrupted into farthing. So that's what a farthing used to be. It was a fourthing or a fourthling. It's a fourth of the original penny in England, right? But a farthing means a quarter of a coin in general parlance. Now, there is a further, I believe, at least by New Testament times, there was a further division of the farthing, that fourth of the shekel, into two more units, sixteenths, in other words. And that is the pruta or the mite, like the widow's mite. Remember the widow's mite? So in Mark 12:41 in the Adam Clarke Bible commentary, talks about the widow's mite, and how she casts money into the treasury. He writes, these are small brass coins, which was called pruta among the Jews, two of which make a farthing. Two of which make a farthing. And he goes on to say, we call this mite from the French miette, which signifies a crumb or very small morsel. So the Jews in New Testament times, at least, could take their shekel and divide it in half, divide it in half again to quarters, and divide it in half again to sixteenths. And those sixteenths were the mites, the smallest coin they had, which is why sometimes it's a mite, sometimes it's two mites, because two mites make up a farthing. And the widow cast her two mites into the treasury. So here is a slide that corresponds between the Nephite units and the Hebrew units in Adam Clarke. You have the senum, which is the basic Nephite monetary unit in silver, corresponds to the shekel, which is the basic Jewish monetary unit. Over here in the Book of Mormon, you have shiblon, which is half a senum, corresponds to a beka in Hebrew, which is half a shekel. Shiblum is half a shiblon. Drachm or drachma is, or a farthing, is half a beka for the Hebrews. And finally, among the Nephites, a leah is half a shiblum. And among the Hebrews, a pruta or a mite is half a drachma. So it seems to be very simple all the way down, having. And I said, see Alma 11, 15 through 18. Note that a senum of silver is equal to a senine of gold. Only the lesser amounts are listed in silver, not gold. Okay. Very good. Now, I hope that's clear as mud. But I don't think that it's necessary that we postulate that Joseph Smith got this from the Adam Clarke Bible commentary. I think it's certainly possible that he got the idea of creating that Nephite monetary system from all the time, the almost 2,000 words that Adam Clarke spent on ancient monetary units among different cultures. Values more than a senine / shekel vary greatly. Basic monetary unit is one senum. In silver, a senine in gold. 2 senums of silver equal 1 amnor. 2 amnors of silver equal 1 esrom. 1 senum and 1 amnor and 1 esrom equal 1 ontai. Once again, you don't have to remember all the names. It's 1 plus 2 plus 4 equals 7. These are the greater values, okay? Now, the reason I don't think that it's necessary to ascribe this to a direct connection with Adam Clarke Bible commentary, other than perhaps the idea of creating one, is because, first off, the greater values are completely different from the Hebrews, all right? Hebrews are not 1, 2, 4, 7. And the lesser values, even though they line up with what Adam Clarke has to say about the Hebrew monetary system, which may have made it appealing, it also ends up representing pretty much what the American system was too. You have. And we'll get to that here in a second, all right, for the lesser values. So in the Hebrew monetary system and the greater values, the basic Hebrew monetary unit is the shekel. Then Adam Clarke says the next unit is a mina, which is 60 shekels. Okay, it's not 1, 2, 4, 7 like the Nephites. The next unit is 60 shekels, not 2 shekels. And then finally, you have 50 minas equal 1 talent. And that's how you calculate a talent for everybody up there who wanted to know. So that's completely different from the Nephite system, which is 1, 2, 4, 7. This is 1, 60, 50. And that's another reason for me to think maybe there's not that connection necessarily. So the Nephite money and Adam Clarke, here's a few concluding thoughts on this section. The lesser values are a match, but the greater values are not. We will see that U.S. coins provide a similar match to Nephite lesser values. The Adam Clarke commentary is not necessary for the idea of having, cutting in half, the lesser values. But the Adam Clarke commentary does devote almost 2,000 words to the subject of monetary systems in ancient cultures, including the Hebrew culture, setting forth tables of the different monetary units. Is this where Joseph Smith got the idea to do the same in the Book of Mormon, in a place where such a table does not belong? Remember our first issue. The only reason Adam Clarke has to set forth monetary tables is because it is done nowhere in the scriptures. This is very important, okay? The only reason that Adam Clarke makes this comment of almost 2,000 words and has to explain the different monetary systems in the Bible and among the cultures represented in the Bible is because it is not already done in the scriptures. The original authors saw no need to explain what they already knew. This kind of table with all the different lesser values and greater values is the stuff of commentaries, not the stuff of the original source work, as a general rule. Finally, the temptation is always, as I said before, the temptation is always to over-explain what the purported author would feel the temptation is always to over-explain what the purported author would feel needed no explanation whatsoever. Okay, now issue number 3 is the Nephite money and U.S. money. on the lesser values, I think we've got another match here. Now, the lesser Nephite values, you've got $1. All right. $1 is the basic US unit of currency, like a C9 or a CNUM among the Nephites. And the dollar, in order to look at the lesser values, if we call them that, of the dollar, you cut it in half. And when you cut $1 in half, the thing you have is called a half dollar, right? That's its own separate coin. And then if you take the half dollar and cut it in half, now you've got a quarter. It's a quarter of a dollar, which is why we call it a quarter. Now, the thing is that where we get confused and where I got confused is thinking about then taking the quarter and cutting it in half. Because underneath a quarter, we don't have a 12.5-cent piece. We have dimes, we have pennies, we have nickels, but we don't have a 12.5-cent piece. The thing is that we used to. And in Joseph Smith's day, there was. And it's called a bit. A bit is half of a quarter. That's why 2 bits is another name for a quarter. We still have the idea in our lexicon, especially shave and a haircut, 2 bits, right? 2 bits is a quarter. So you could take a quarter, divide it in half, and each of those halves would be a bit. Kind of like over with the Hebrews, you would take their lesser, the farthing, or whatever that was called. I apologize. I'll get back to it here in a second. But cut it in half, and you've got a mite. So you cut the lowest thing in half. It's a mite over there, which makes a mite the lowest thing for Hebrews anciently. And you cut a quarter in half, and then you've got a bit in the U.S. monetary system at Joseph Smith's time. Of course, they also had pennies and dimes. In fact, my understanding is that a 15-cent piece was called a long bit, and a 10-cent piece was called a short bit, because a bit was 12.5 cents. All right, let's continue. Oh, and 2-bit is an adjective now, right? It means cheap or trivial. That's 2-bit, right? It's petty, small time, but it's also the value of 2 bits. Shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Did you know the money-related definition of 2-bit makes its etymology obvious? And I'm not going to read this whole thing, but here's the yellow part that I highlighted in the middle. The now obsolete Spanish dollar, also known as a peso or piece of 8. This used to be the Spanish dollar. It's now obsolete, but was very famous and popular at the time. Was composed of 8 reals, or 8 bits. It's a piece of 8. Was composed of 8 reals, or 8 bits. So a quarter of the dollar equaled 2 bits. The phrase 2 bits carried over into U.S. usage. It first appeared in print in English in the early 1700s and later developed the figurative sense of something of small worth or importance. All right. Now, these greater Nephite values of $1, the Senum, the Amnor, the Ezram, and the Ontai. That would be $1, $2, $4, and $7 if we put it in our context of a dollar being the basic unit of measurement or value in the U.S. monetary system, and equating that to a Senum in the silver system over there for the Nephites with the greater values. So it would be $1, $2, $4, and $7. You can see that's not similar at all to what we have. Now, that's issue number 3. Issue number 4, Nephite money located, ? Believe it or not, there have been several instances in the brief history of the LDS Church where members have believed that they have recovered or dug up Nephite money, and it seems to always be in coins, strangely. All the Mormons thought that the Nephite monetary system was coins until Bruce R. McConkie came along and corrected the record with a little help from farms, probably. So this is the Nephite monetary system. This is another graph that you can find online. And it shows the gold along the top, left to right, right? Those are the greater values. Then it shows the silver underneath, which are the corresponding greater values to the gold and silver, in silver. And then underneath it are the lesser values, 3 of which are in silver. And then there's that one outlier in gold. Now, here's an article that I found in the Deseret News from December 12, 1860. This is before the Civil War, though not long before. Speaking of an old Nephite coin that got found. Always a coin. The Honorable George Peacock of Manti, Utah, has exhibited in our office. Now, this is the Deseret News. So this would be the office of the Deseret News, I believe. An old copper coin recently found by some explorer or hunter on the Colorado River. Doesn't sound like a really solid provenance there. On both sides of which are hieroglyphics or characters and Hebrew coin letters. Not being one of the learned, we submitted it to Professor Phelps, who has given us the following as a literal translation of the characters. Your job, Mr. Phelps, should you decide to accept it. Your mission, Mr. Phelps, should you decide to accept it, is to decipher this coin from whatever it's written into English. And Professor Phelps was up to the task somehow. I don't know how he did it. Maybe he has his own seer stone. On one side, it reads, according to the rendition, quote, the king, Hagaga Donaiha. Hagaga Donaiha. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. The king over the kingdom near the sea west sends to all greetings. One sinine. Oh my gosh, this is a sinine. It's even written on the coin itself. On the other side, in the 95th year of the kingdom of Christ, 9th of my reign, peace and life, weapon to weapon, life for life. Wow, it's amazing they got all that on the face of one little coin. The coin is 17, maybe it's because it was Reformed Egyptian. The coin is 1765 years old and is evidently a Nephite sinine or farthing. Now, the sinine, it should not be because sinine was gold. This is copper. If you compare that to Allen 11, you might find a problem with that already. It's evidently a Nephite sinine or farthing, as mentioned in the 5th chapter of 2nd Nephi. In the Book of Mormon, English edition, page 517. Now, honestly, I don't know how 2nd Nephi gets to page 517 in any edition of the Book of Mormon, because it's Allen 11. But regardless, it is about the size of an English farthing. The numerals are plain Arabic figures. So there's Arabic. This is how he's able to decipher it, Arabic. And apparently in Arabic, it says all these very Book of Mormon-y things. I wonder what ever became of that coin. This is now, I think, the person who, yes, this is the person who is writing this blog post. I wonder what ever became of that coin. I don't know if anyone in the Peacock clan still holds it, or if it was turned over to the church. The coin supposedly dated 5 AD. I know that the church has things that the common member doesn't know about. You do? When my father, this otherwise anonymous writer of this article says, when my father was a member of the Quorum of 70, he was shown several items, of which the only particular one he told us about was some pages from the original manuscripts of the Book of Mormon. He mentioned other items, but would not elaborate. Secrecy is king in Mormonism. He mentioned other items, but would not elaborate. So I went and looked up and found on the internet this issue of the Deseret News. It was from December 12th, 1860. And the actual article, there's the article that was quoted in that blog post. And that's what it says. It was actually published. Now, this coin, I just grabbed off the internet. This is not the actual coin. So I don't want you to think it is. But where the heck is that coin anyway? We know that a week ago, it was actually a week ago today, the church dropped that 1886 John Taylor revelation saying that polygamy will never die. 4 years, it was received by him 4 years before it did die, before the manifesto in 1890. But when are they going to cough up these Nephite coins that they've been collecting? Because there's several of them, and they have them. They have them. Here is another story about the discovery of the Nephite coin, a pioneer mystery. This is a different one. Okay, the other one was 1860, remember? This one says, it's actually an article from 2021 being written in retrospect about this Nephite coin that we have a picture of, which is down there in the bottom right of this slide. In February 1848, Isaac Chase stalled the vigorous swing of his pick at the sound of something metallic in a hole by a creek in what is now Liberty Park. Now, I've taken out a lot of verbiage here because they're puffing it up in order to make it a newspaper story. I'm just trying to get to the facts here. So it's February 1848. It's Isaac Chase. He is digging a hole. The 56-year-old leaned over and dug out of the mud a small coin. Fingering the dent his pick had just made in its yellow surface, he likely puzzled over the strange writing that covered it front and back and how it got there. By all accounts, including his granddaughter, May McLaughlin, the hole had reached a depth of over 10 feet, making it difficult for anyone to have deposited it there. Yeah, it would, unless you were trying to. I don't know. Or maybe it just fell out of your pocket at an inopportune time. Widso. Now, this is the apostle, right? So there's a lot of information in between here, but it comes to Apostle John Widso. He sent the coin off to New York City to a curator in the American Numismatic Society for identification. That's a smart move. 1 week later, on January 13th, 1925, the reply came back and revealed the coin's true origins. And guess what? It wasn't Nephite. The coin which you sent to us is a British East India Company 1 pai, struck for Bengal in Persian and struck in the 37th year of the Emperor Shah Alam. The letter reads, although it is strange that such a piece should be picked up in this country, they were at one time very plentiful and are found all over the world. So it's not a Nephite coin. It's a very common coin. It was strange it was found in this country, apparently, the United States of America at that time in the 1920s. And nevertheless, that's what it is, which makes me think it's not that big a mystery that it was found 10 feet under the ground, because I think that it had a little help. Now, the third coin we're going to talk about, the third and last coin that we're going to talk about here is from 1899. All right. And this is the first presidency in the Quorum of the 12, their minutes from the end of the year, right before it turned over to 1900. It involves Richard M. Robinson of Grantsville, Utah, who called on the first presidency, I'm guessing, having just returned from a mission to Florida. He exhibited a gold coin, a little larger, though a little thinner than our 10-cent silver coin, and contained well-marked characters. He stated that this coin had been found by Brother I.N. Carlton, that's like I.P. Freely, Brother I.N. Carlton of Casey Settlement, Camden County, Georgia, while plowing in his field at that place. This is from Georgia, the Nephites. That's totally Heartland coin. It was situated on the St. Mary River, which divides Georgia from Florida. You see, all these details make it sound like this really happened. The coin was plowed up last spring and was given to Brother Robinson in the latter part of August. So he didn't find it. It was given to him. Okay. He now presented it to President Snow as head of the church, hoping that it might be found useful in helping to establish the authenticity of the Book of Mormon or for some other sacred purpose. So we know they've got this coin at a minimum. I think they got the other ones too, but they definitely got this coin in the vault. When are you going to release this Nephite coin so we can see it too? There actually was a statement made by Brother Robinson about this very issue that I was able to find. And I cut it up in two so I could read it more clearly, one piece on each slide. This is The History of a Nephite Coin is the title, a personal experience of Elder Richard M. Robinson of Grantsville, Utah. So here's what he says. It was my privilege to fulfill a mission to the southern states in the years 1897 to 99. While laboring in Florida, I was appointed to the presidency of the Florida Conference and consequently traveled quite extensively among the elders and saints of the conference. It was my opportunity towards the close of my mission about September 22nd, 1899, to cross the St. Mary's River that separates the states of Florida and Georgia, and to visit a Brother Carlton, who at the time was a faithful member of the church, so you can believe whatever he says about this coin and anything else, and how he found it, living on the banks of the St. Mary's River. Now, I do not know why it is that for Florida and September 22nd, they have blanks that are put into this. Maybe he couldn't remember what it was at the time he's making this, and he has to leave blanks and he filled them in later. It's a little bit odd, but that's what it looks like. My companion and I, he goes on, my companion and I arrived in the neighborhood of Brother Carlton's on the 22nd day of September, 1899. We held a meeting in the town that evening. And after the meeting, Brother Carlton came up to us and requested that we stay that night with him. After consultation with my companion, we consented to go. And as was our custom, we sat far into the night and conversed with him on the principles of the gospel. Sounds idyllic, doesn't it? The next morning, September 23rd, 1899, Brother Carlton came out of his room with a coin in his hand and told me that he had plowed it up in his field on the banks of the St. Mary's River. He also told me that he had felt impressed during the night to give the coin to me, although he had refused the elder who had baptized him. So apparently he showed it to the elder who baptized him, He found this coin before he was a Mormon. He gets baptized. The elder who baptizes him maybe wants the coin, and he says, nope, you can't have it. But he is going to give it to this individual. I looked at the coin as he handed it to me, writes Brother Robinson. I looked at the coin as he handed it to me, and I thought that I knew what it was, as I had seen a picture of Nephite coins on the flyleaf of the old edition of the Book of Mormon. Now, this is really interesting that on the flyleaf of old copies of the Book of Mormon, I tried to find this and I couldn't. They had pictures of coins that are denominated Nephite coins. And he says, strangely enough, this coin looks like it. Now, I'm going to guess that whatever the pictures were on the flyleaf of the old Book of Mormon that had Nephite coins, those weren't Nephite coins, but it would give a good pattern maybe to create a coin to look like and pass off as a Nephite coin. The coin bore a striking resemblance to those coins. Wow, what a shock. They actually look like the Nephite coins that weren't Nephite coins on the cover of the Book of Mormon. Okay, so those are the three different examples that I found of Nephite coins being located, and at least one definitely being given to the first presidency, the other two quite possibly. Where are the coins? Bring out your coins. We want to see these Nephite coins, everybody. So that is that issue. Okay, it's a little bit of a side issue, but I thought it was an interesting issue. And maybe one of the reasons I find it interesting is that the whole issue about coins, everybody who read the Book of Mormon, apparently, who found a Nephite coin, thought that was talking about coins in the Book of Mormon. It's something that looks like a coin, but the word coin isn't used. Money is used all over the place. But the good people at Farms and the Neil A. Maxwell Institute now, the apologists don't want it to be a coin. And because it doesn't say a coin, it's not a coin. It's kind of like the old argument about the chariots in the Book of Mormon, right? Well, we might think it'd be a chariot with wheels, but the problem is, of course, they didn't have the wheel in ancient America. And so it couldn't be a chariot with wheels. And so the apologists tell us, well, it doesn't say the chariots had wheels. It could have been a sled. I'm not making this up. They say that. And they're saying the same kind of thing here. Well, we don't find any coins. They didn't have any coins in ancient America. Well, it doesn't say coins here. It just looks like they had coins. And all the Mormons who read this thought it had coins. And even Orson Pratt, I think it was, wrote coins into the heading of chapter 11 of the Book of Mormon. But they're not coins. And as I said earlier as well, that helps them with the fact that no coins have been found, but it doesn't help them with the fact that no metal pieces or weights and measures have been found during this time period at all, to my knowledge, and certainly none that would correspond to what's given us in the pages of the Book of Mormon. Okay, issue number 5. Remember, there's 9 issues. Issue number 5. Are thieves and robbers treated differently in the Book of Mormon? But first, let me make one more comment about the very first point I made about how this shouldn't actually be in the Book of Mormon in the first place. If I were telling a story about a very large bribe that one person made to another, and I'm talking about the US monetary system, even if I'm talking to somebody else who doesn't understand the monetary system and who I know doesn't know the monetary system, so I want to make some kind of an explanation, I'm probably not going to go into half dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. It's really kind of extraneous to the whole thing. If I'm talking about a big bribe, I don't need to break it all down and tell you the entire monetary system to get the point across, especially when I'm writing it in gold and not on paper. Even on paper, it would be unnecessary. So I wanted to say that once again, because I think that's just a point that's so significant that I'm trying to say it as many different ways as I can in hopes that the point will come across as powerfully as I find it to be. Okay, issue number 5, thieves and robbers, gypsies, tramps, and thieves treated differently in the Book of Mormon. Now, this does not necessarily have anything to do with money, but you'll see why it comes up in this subject of money in the Book of Mormon. Because Colby Reddish and I, who are doing a series responding to the Light on Truth letter by Austin Fife, a few weeks ago, we did an episode on one particular chapter in which he discusses the use of thieves versus robbers in the Book of Mormon. And what he says is this: in modern English, the words thief and robber are generally used interchangeably. Generally used interchangeably. That is not the case in the ancient Near East. Anciently, there was a significant legal difference between how to handle a thief and a robber. Now, you can read the rest of that We responded to it in one way on the earlier podcast with Colby. At least I responded to it in one way. And then he asked the question at the bottom of this, Austin Fife does, isn't it fascinating that there is a clear distinction between thieves and robbers in the Book of Mormon? The reason this came powerfully to mind is because right before they launch into the Nephite monetary system, this is what the Book of Mormon says in Alma 11:2. Now, if a man owed another, and he would not pay that which he did owe, he was complained of to the judge. And the judge executed authority and sent forth officers that the man should be brought before him. And he judged the man according to the law and the evidences which were brought before him. And thus the man was compelled to pay that which he owed, or be stripped, or be cast out from among the people as what? As a thief and a robber. As a thief and a robber. This is Alma 11:2. I wish I had thought of this earlier when I was responding to this chapter the first time, but I'm not going to miss it the second time. He says, in modern English, the words thief and robber are generally used interchangeably. Well, they're same thing in the Book of Mormon. Alma 11:2. He asks, isn't it fascinating that there's a clear distinction between thieves and robbers in the Book of Mormon? Well, maybe not so clear after all, according to Alma 11:2. So I wanted to mention that for Austin Fife so he can update his letter, his Light on Truth letter accordingly. Okay, issue number 6. How cheap did Nephite judges work anyway? I've got a little slide up there. What is Judge Cash scandal? No money found. I mean, think about this. If we're taking this seriously and actually paying attention to this passage in Alma chapter 11 about the money system, how much does a Nephite judge make in a day? Well, you think it would be, something, because judges today in our society in the U.S., they tend to make a hefty amount per day. So you think a Nephite judge might make something to take home. Here's what it says. In verse 1, now it was in the law of Mosiah that every man who was a judge of the law, or those who were appointed to be judges, should receive wages according to the time which they labored to judge those who were brought before them to be judged. Okay, so what's the wage? Now we skip verse 2. Remember, that's about the thieves and the robbers. We just read it. And we get to verse 3 in chapter 11. And the judge received for his wages according to his time a senine of gold for a day. A senine, that's that basic unit, right? Or a senum of silver, that's the equivalence, which is equal to a senine of gold. And this is according to the law which was given. A senum, verse 7, a senum of silver was equal to a senine of gold, and either for a measure of barley and also for a measure of every kind of grain. So the senine or the senum, they're both the same value in gold and silver. Those are pegged at the value of a measure of barley or every kind of grain. A measure of barley. And what I thought was, geez, so you're a judge. Presumably that would take some degree of education, some degree of being able to read, okay? Some degree, it certainly does today. I don't know among the Nephites, but you think it'd be a kind of a higher status job and you get paid more than the average manual laborer. But all you get for a full day of judging is a measure of barley. That's all you get is the equivalent of a measure of barley. And I'm just wondering how you can make ends meet, even as a judge among the Nephites, if all you're getting paid for a day's labor is a measure of barley. So for a day's work, a Nephite judge earned the equivalent of one measure of barley. That would seem difficult to live on, especially for a judge, which appears to be a higher status profession, even in the Book of Mormon, and especially if the judge has any family members as dependents. I don't know how big this measure of barley is, but geez, it'd have to be pretty big. I mean, I get the idea of something kind of hefty, but that you could lift with one hand is a measure. It doesn't tell us, but I think it would have to be extraordinarily big to qualify as a day's wage for a judge. Now, this chart, which I also found on the internet about the Nephite monetary system, this chart inadvertently expresses the problem inherent in pegging a judge's daily pay at one senine. Once again, that's the gold equivalent of a silver senum. In Alma 11:7, it says a senum of silver was equal to a senine of gold, and either for a measure of barley and also for a measure of every kind of grain, right? Here's what it says over there on the chart. Do the math. Judges made one senine a day. In Alma 11, Zeezrom offered 6 onties of silver equal to 42 senines or 42 days worth of work. In modern day, Judges make about $250 a day. This was written some time ago. If Zeezrom existed in modern day, he would have offered about $10,000 to Amulek. So the problem that this comment on the chart inadvertently exposes is how much we would naturally expect a judge would make compared to the fact they're only getting the value of a measure of grain, a measure of barley for every day. See, what's in the chart would be significantly more, I would imagine, than the value of a measure of barley. So the Nephite monetary system makes no distinction between the value of different grains. They are all valued equally. This seems unlikely. Yeah, it says also for a measure of every kind of grain, including barley. So, in other words, they're saying every kind of grain is valued exactly the same across time. That seems strange. It seems unlikely to me that every measure of grain is valued exactly the same, regardless of how much there is of that particular kind of grain. Once again, let's go back to B.H. Roberts' comment about the Book of Mormon. It seems to be written by a youth, maybe a pious youth, certainly, but one with no real world experience in economics. He doesn't even know about that. He's going to make it not only pegged to a measure of barley. All right. Let's talk about that for a second, shall we? The Nephite monetary system tells us a judge makes the equivalent of one measure of barley for a day's work. That would be a big measure to equate to $250 in the chart, even with inflation. So the first problem is you've got barley, okay? First problem is you have a grain that is tied to your monetary system. In other words, a C9 is equal to a measure of barley. You have your monetary system measured to a crop, which seems to be exactly backward to the way it should be. You should have your crop as hooked up to your monetary system, right? As opposed to your monetary system being dependent upon the crop. Because barley, I mean, the value of barley is going to swing wildly from season to season, depending on if you have a lot of it or you don't have a lot of it based upon the weather and other circumstances. If you don't have a lot of it, you would think that a measure of barley would be worth a lot more than a C9. If you have less of it than usual, you would think that a measure of barley would be worth less than a C9. But that's not allowed for in this system. No, it's pegged at a C9 because the crop is pegged according to the value, the gold and the silver, as opposed to the reverse. And making it even more difficult to understand and difficult to believe, frankly, is the fact it's not just the barley, it's every other kind of grain. So now they're saying that every grain is valued exactly the same as barley because a measure of every other grain is valued exactly the same as the measure of barley, which multiplies algorithmically, I think, the problems in economics that I've just talked about for the barley. If you talk about for every other kind of grain, this is not making a lot of sense to me. Maybe it does make sense. I'm not an expert in economics. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this and whether you think this makes good sense economically. Issue number 7. Why do Nephites use money in proper names? Now, that sounds like a strange question. It'll become clear here in a second. So why do Nephites use money in proper names? In other words, the names of their monetary units. It shows up frequently in proper names, even right in and around this story of the monetary unit and Zeezrom in Alma 11 and going on into Alma 12. So the Nephite money and proper names in the Book of Mormon, we have several examples. Number one is Zeezrom. Zeezrom. He's the lawyer who offered silver to Amulek, the 6 aunties, remember? In Alma 11:21. And Ezrom, if you look over here at this chart, Ezrom is one of the silver greater values. So his name is Zeezrom. You can see Ezrom is contained in his name. It is Zeezrom, which I understand is French for Zeezrom. It is Z with Ezrom in it. And I want you to go to number 6. Don't go to number 2 here. Go to number 6 because that's connected. Very interestingly, when Zeezrom finally gets almost converted, he's starting to see the wisdom of what Amulek is saying, and he's not being so hard-hearted. Then another person steps in to start asking questions of a more theological nature. In the following chapter, it's part of the same story. It's Alma chapter 12. His name is Antionah. He's the ruler of Ammonihah. And if you look at Antionah, and Antion is in there, well, Antion is the 1 gold lesser value in the Nephite monetary system. So you can see that not only is Ezram contained in the name of the lawyer in Alma 11, it's also contained in the name of the ruler, Antion, who is part of the same story in Alma chapter 12. Is this coincidence or is this something more? Is the question. We'll get to that in a second. There's a number of other situations like this where different monetary units, the names of them show up in the names of Book of Mormon characters and personal proper names. Shiblon, we remember Shiblon. It's down there. It's one of the lesser silver values. Shiblon is also the name of a son of Alma. In Alma 31:7, it's one of his sons. He's named after a coin. Maybe it's like Bill Reel. Bill, he's named after a dollar bill. Or Penny, if you know a girl named Penny, named after a little coin. But this is Shiblon, the son of Alma, or Shiblon is also a Jaredite king in Ether 1:11. So that's another Shiblon. Shiblam and Limha. Okay. Now, I underlined those differently. These are fallen captains when they're having the huge war at the end of the Nephite history, right? Mormon 6:14, they don't have a lot to say or a lot to do except to die. Shiblam and Limha. Now, notice Shiblam. That is like a cross between Shiblon and Shiblum. It's not exactly the same as either, but boy, it looks similar, doesn't it? And that's why. It's Shiblam, Lom. And also another name was Limha. Now, over here in the money, we have a Limna, which was the highest value of gold among the Nephites, Limna. But Limha, with one letter difference, an H for an N, is the name of the captain in Mormon 6:14. So those are very similar without being exact. And here's one, Lehantai, a Lamanite leader. It's like a cross between Lehi and Antai. And Antai happens to be the biggest value of silver. Remember the Antai, the 6 Antais offered by Zeezrom to Amulek to get him to deny the existence of a god? So there it is, Lehantai. And then you get to Antiona again at the bottom, which I wanted to put next to Zeezrom at the top. So there's a number of examples of Nephite monetary units showing up in Nephite personal names. In the Book of Mormon, Onomasticon, yes, I said it, the Onomasticon, the Book of Mormon Onomasticon, it's available online, where they take all the names in the Book of Mormon and try and connect them to ancient cultures to make the Book of Mormon look authentic. And I'm quoting from this here. Given the close connection, this is what they wrote, the apologists wrote, given the close connection between the PN, personal name, I think, or proper name, Antiona, and the unit of gold measure, Antion, like I just talked about, there may be a subtle metonymic play on the name Antiona, who functions as chief ruler of the renegade Nephite city of Ammonihah, and Zeezrom, who joins with Alma and Amulek in preaching to the inhabitants of the city. Zeezrom, remember with Ezram in it, could be seen metonymically as Mr. Moneybags and Antiona as Mr. Gold Nugget. By the way, I had to look up metonymy for myself. I'll share it with you. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which a concept is referred to by the name of something associated with that thing or concept. So somebody comes up with the name of Antiona for this character because of the gold, because his name means gold piece, and also because the Ezram has the silver piece in it, the Ezram. So the author of this article for the Book of Mormon Onomasticon, I wanted to say it one more time, is that Zeezrom and Antiona, those could mean metonymically Mr. Moneybags, and Antiona could mean Mr. Gold Nugget. So here are my thoughts about that. And I've heard this argument before, even back when I was an apologist. It made me uncomfortable, and here's why. The problem with the metonymy argument is that it posits these are not the real given names of Zeezrom and Antiona. In other words, these are not the given names for these guys that their parents gave them when they were born. It wasn't Zeezrom. It wasn't Antiona. They didn't understand that their names would be forever written down in history in the Book of Mormon associated with this particular incident in Alma 11 and 12. They had no idea. Which means that if it's metonymically significant, somebody else other than the parents had to give the names to these characters, whatever their original names were, whatever their real names were. Somebody had to come along and do this sort of nickname, this fun kind of coincidental nickname for them in order to make a literary point. Okay. Somebody else gave them these names to associate them with the monetary units in Alma 11 and likely in a critical way. The problem this raises is it presupposes some unknown person, not the parents gave them this name, some unknown person interfering with the historical narrative to make a political or economic point. I think that makes sense. I think that's pretty much indisputable if it is metonymic. Somebody else, other than the parents, is naming them this to make a point. Who would have given them these nicknames is the question that always bothered me, even as an apologist. Who would have given them these nicknames? It wasn't their parents. Was it Alma? Did he name him this in the record? Was it Amulek? Was it Mormon? Was it Joseph? Somebody had to give him these nicknames. And so that made me stop and think, I wonder who the suspects are. Or was it simply a case of Joseph Smith inadvertently using similar names for people that he had just used for money? That's certainly a possibility. I kind of lean toward that right now as the likely answer. Issue number 8, only 2 more to go. Issue number 8, Nephite money more effective than United States money. Now, you will hear this, and I heard this over and over, and there are charts about it, and you can find some of them on the internet, and I'll show you some of them, about how it is that the Nephite monetary system is more effective and efficient than the U.S. monetary system. Let me show you a few of these, which is supposed to be an evidence of its truth. That is a logical fallacy, but nevertheless, let's look at it anyway. In other words, even if the Nephite monetary system were more effective than the U.S. monetary system, it doesn't prove the Book of Mormon is true. It would be interesting, and that argument is certainly made. And here's a few places where they make the argument. At Scripture Central is one of the places. Now, every time this argument is made, they're going to monkey with the evidence. They're not going to be straight with you. They're not going to play fair. And I've got a couple of examples. And unfortunately, one of these is at Scripture Central, where it has an article titled Book of Mormon Evidence, Elegant Monetary System. Yes, it's absolutely elegant. So, and one of the elegances is that it's more efficient. So here in this article, which was written just a few years ago, they have what we already know about the differences in the Nephite monetary unit between the gold and silver standards, 1247, 1247, and the different names, which once again, we're not going to get into beyond those that are similar to other names of characters like see Ezram and Antiona. Now, here's their main chart, still in the Scripture Central. And I was surprised to find this there because usually I think better things of them. But they are really, really not playing fair here. Efficiency of Nephite money versus USA currency. Okay, it's fine to make the comparison. But what they're going to do now is they are going to compare the greater values among the Nephite currency. In other words, the ones that are over a dollar and over. They're not going to compare those with greater values of US currency, $1, $2, $5, $10. No, they're going to trick you and they're going to compare it with the lesser values in the US currency, the coins, with 1 penny, 2 penny, 3 penny, 4 penny, a nickel. So the whole deal is this. Here's how the game is played in order to try and show that the Nephite monetary system is more efficient than the US monetary system is you look at the Nephite monetary system and you find out numbers 1 through 10, how many different units of Nephite money you need to arrive at each of the numbers between 1 and 10. All right, so the first one is 1. The second one is 1 because remember they have a value for 1 and 2. The value for 3 is 2 because they need one of the 2s and one of the 1s under the Nephite system. And now it's going to compare that with the US system, but they're going to cheat, frankly, and they're just going to use the coins, the lesser values. And so when you have the lesser values and you have 1 penny, 2 penny, 3 penny, 4 penny, you can see over there on the right in those small numbers that for 1 penny you need 1, for 2 pennies you need 2 units, for 3 pennies you need 3 units, and for 4 pennies you need 4 units. For 5 pennies now you can use 1 unit, which is called the nickel, and so on. And finally, when they get to the bottom, after going through 20, they went up to 20, right? But they cheated because they used lesser values US, greater values Nephite. And the average that they come up with, the average number of units that's needed for 1 through 20 in the Nephite system is 2.4 weights. That's the average per any number between 1 and 20. The Nephite is 2.4. The US is higher, 3.05 coins, which means that on average between 1 and 20, you need more Nephite coins, more US units, more US coins than the Nephites needed their unit. So obviously, the Nephite unit is, and the Nephite monetary system is more efficient and it's more practical. All right. They cheated to get here. I showed you how they cheated. Here's another way this person really cheated. Now, at least the person who made this chart, the second chart I'm showing you now, at least they didn't compare Nephite greater values or greater units with US lesser units. They used greater units and greater units across the board. And you can see up here, once again, they list under Book of Mormon evidences, Alma 11 weights and measures, and they have 1, 2, 4, 7. They have the gold with the names and the silver with the names, both 1, 2, 4, and 7. Then below it, they have US currency compared with Nephite money. And in the US currency, they have $1, $2, $5, and $10. In the Nephite money, they have 1, 2, 4, 7, because once again, those are the units in the Nephite money. They actually call it a perfect monetary system. I think that might be a bit extreme. But what they're going to do is the same kind of comparison. So notice what they do. They have US currency as $1, $2, $5, $10. That's only fair because you should have 4 units against the Nephite money's 4 units in order to make it fair. They mention the $2 bill, which is still, I believe, being printed in the US and needs to be taken into account. Although I think a lot of people like to save them and you don't see them as much as you used to in currency. But $1, $2, $5, and $10, that's a fair test. But what this person does is immediately takes the $2 out. He doesn't use the $2 in his calculations, the $2 bill. And the reason we know that is because for $1, he has $1 bill, right? That'll cover it, 1 unit. For the $2, he has 2 units. So in other words, he's counting 2 $1 bills for $2 in the American system. $3 is 3 units. $4 is 4 units, okay? He's making the same mistake that the Scripture Central people did, but they did it under the auspice of looking at the lesser units, which is 1 penny, 2 penny, 3 penny, 4. This person's doing it with dollars, but he's skipping the $2, okay? That's a cheat. That's a total cheat what he's doing. And he's doing it because he wants the Nephite system to look more practical, more effective than the US system. So he wants to make it true, and he's going to make it true by hook or by crook. And this is one of the traps that apologists fall into themselves. And then they bring others with them as they make slides like this to try and convince people of this fact when it's not true. And I'm going to show you how it's not true. Now, the first thing that he does, notice he doesn't even go to 10. He doesn't go to 20 like Scripture Central. He doesn't even go to 10. He stops at $9. And what that does is it takes not only the $2 out of the $2 bill out of the equation, it also takes the $10 bill out of the equation. He doesn't even get to 10. Because if he got to 10, then the US system would have only 1 bill that they would need. Whereas the Nephite system would need 3 units, right? It would need a 7, a 2, and a 1 to get there. But he takes the $10 bill off the table. It's not even used in his analysis. And he takes the $2 bill out. So really what he's doing, whoever made the slide, is comparing the US currency system with 2 bills, 1 and a 5, against the Nephite money system with 4 units, the 1, 2, 4, 7. So it's not really that surprising that under those conditions, which I don't think are fair, that the Nephite monetary system actually fares better. You can see exactly what it is that he's done. Now, what I did was I thought I would go back and I would check this out. And I wanted to go from 1 to 20, not just 1 to 10, certainly not 1 to 9, but I wanted to go 1 to 20 and see what it is that happened between the Nephite system and the US system if you included the $2 bill, which is part of the system. Now, here we have, I just jotted this down yesterday, 1 through 10, and then next to it, I put the number of units under the Nephite system you would need in order to arrive at the numbers 1 through 10, and the same for the US system, 1 through 10. So in the US system, if you include the $2 bill, which you should because it's part of the system, you have a $1 bill takes 1 unit, a $2 bill, actually the number 2 takes 1 unit. Not 2, but there's a $2 bill, so that's 1 unit. A 3 takes 2 units, right? The $2 bill and a $1 bill. The $4 mark takes 2 units, which is two $2 bills, and $5 takes 1 unit, which is a $5 bill. And you'll see it goes on, and then down here at number 10, you take down to $1 bill, because now we can use the power of the $10 bill. When you go to 9, you completely leave $10 bill off the field, and he's not even playing in the game. So you don't get the benefit of his power in reaching different numbers with lesser amounts. All right. So even 1 to 10, if you play the game fairly, and check my math, please. I did this, and I did it slowly enough to think about it, and then I double checked it, but I can always be wrong about this. So double check. Even 1 through 10, the Nephite system requires 17 total units, and the USA system requires 18 total units. So that's 1 more than the Nephite system. So it is more effective, even if it's 1 through 10, and even if we use a $2 bill. But the problem, of course, is that once you get to 10, you have to get to 10 before the $10 bill becomes effective. And that's going to come into play, especially when you go from 11 to 20 now, which is the second page. So on the second page, 11 to 20, now that you've got the $10 bill, you compare them, the Nephite system and the US system. The Nephite system now takes 31 total units to make up the numbers 11 through 20, but the USA system takes only 28 total units. See, the power of the $10 bill. And if you add them together, which is what I tried to do, and you look at the Nephite system, it comes to a total number of units for 1 through 20 of 48 units, and a total number for the US system, 1 to 20, of 46 units. So guess what? The US system is actually more efficient than the Nephite system, in spite of all the crowing that apologists do about how efficient the Nephite system is. And I probably used to as well back in the 1980s and 90s, and I thought about it, and I didn't allow myself to think critically about it enough to realize and do the testing and do the analysis that shows that that is actually the wrong conclusion. And the only way you can get to that conclusion is by cheating, which is what the apologists typically do. Okay, the final issue, the misuse of the word C9 in 3rd Nephi. So the only other place that I'm aware of in the Book of Mormon where any unit from the Nephite monetary system gets used other than in Alma 11 is in 3rd Nephi. And once again, this is one of the reasons that going into all this detail makes no sense, is because it's a one-off story. It's not like throughout the Book of Mormon, there are references being made to commercial transactions in different amounts that involve these different names of the different units, both the greater values in gold and silver, and also the lesser values in silver and the gold antion. It never happens. That's another reason why it stands out as a red flag that this is written as fiction by somebody who's explaining too much. Okay. But the only other place that I'm aware of where any monetary unit from the Nephite system is used is in the Sermon on the Mount, which Jack Welch calls the Sermon on the Temple. It's basically the Sermon on the Mount in 3rd Nephi with a few changes. And one of the changes is where they changed the word farthing in Matthew to C9 in 3rd Nephi. Because whoever's writing this is thinking, I'm going to change the word farthing, because how would the Nephites know what a farthing is? I'll put it in their own kind of monetary system. I'll put C9 in instead of farthing, and that will make it seem much more real, like it really happened. But there's a problem, and the problem is that C9 is a day's wage for a judge. A farthing is a quarter of the basic monetary unit. It's a very small amount. But not only is it a different amount in the two different systems, one larger and one smaller, the C9 doesn't make any sense as it's used in 3rd Nephi. Here's what I mean. The C9 in 3rd Nephi's sermon at the temple, this is what Jesus is reported to say in the Book of Mormon. Agree with thine adversary quickly while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time he shall get thee, and thou shalt be cast into prison. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence until thou hast paid the uttermost senine. And while ye are in prison, can ye pay even one senine? Verily, verily, I say unto you, nay. So the whole context of this is that this is a very, very small amount. It doesn't make sense unless it's a very small amount. In fact, it should be the smallest amount in order to make the rhetorical point that Jesus makes in Matthew with farthing. Here's what Jesus says in Matthew. It says the first about agree with thine adversary quickly. It's Matthew 5:25. And he goes on in verse 26. He says, verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence. Where? From debtor's prison. Because you've been thrown in there because you owe a debt you were not able to pay. Thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. The last little bit is the idea. The last penny is how we would put it in the U.S. And in fact, the NRSV, I was checking this, the New Revised Standard Version, changes farthing to penny. In the translation, it's got to be the smallest amount. Otherwise, the rhetorical point is lost. You have to have it be the smallest amount. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. So the problem is that even though the Book of Mormon substitutes a Book of Mormon monetary unit, a senine, instead of a farthing, which is a good thought, the problem is that the unit is far too big because this unit represents, remember, the day's wage for a judge. It's not half of it or half of that even, which is what it should be to be a farthing. It's a whole senine. I mean, for instance, let's use that other chart's calculation of a day's wage of a judge being $250. And does it make sense to say, you shall not come forth from debtor's prison until you have paid the last $250? It doesn't, because the meaning gets lost. It has to be the last penny. It has to be small. And yet the Book of Mormon does not use the equivalent of a farthing in the Nephite monetary system. It was a good idea to include senine, but it was messed up in the execution. It should have been the smallest unit of measurement. Here's a chart. It should have been a leah. That's what it should have been. It should have been a leah, not a senine. Can you see how wrong it is? It should have been a leah in 3rd Nephi. Maybe that's the part where it wasn't translated correctly. No, that's supposed to be the Bible. Okay, so he has senine instead of leah. And once again, here's what I wrote. A farthing is the 4th part of a shekel. The shekel is the main unit. That's in the Hebrew system, right? So that's what Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. But the senine is the main unit itself. The equivalent of a farthing in Nephite terms would have been a leah, or at least a shiblum. We remember that a senine is equivalent to the day's pay for a Nephite judge. And then I go on and I make the same argument in the slide that I think I've already made. So I'll skip that here. And here it shows it again. Yeah, it should have been a leah, or at least a shiblum, to correspond with the farthing mentioned by Jesus. Well, maybe Jesus wasn't as familiar with the Nephite monetary system as he was with the Hebrew, for understandable reasons. Okay, those are the 9 points. And here's our conclusion that covers those 9 points once again. Number 1, the Nephite monetary system should not be in the Book of Mormon. In the first place, it is a red flag that it is fiction. Orson Scott Card was right. Number 2, Adam Clarke Commentary has an entire essay with tables on ancient monetary systems. The Hebrew money matches the lesser values of the Nephite money, though the greater values are totally different. Number 3, the United States lesser values also match the lesser values of the Nephite money. Number 4, we reviewed several instances where Mormons have discovered Nephite coins. Number 5, thieves and robbers sometimes are treated identically in the Book of Mormon, contra Austin Fife's assertion in his Light on Truth letter. Number 6, why did Nephite judges work for only a measure of barley a day? That sounds cheap. Number 7, why did Nephites use money in proper names? I don't know, but maybe, just maybe, this is an insight or can give us an insight into how it was that Joseph Smith did come up with his names. And they all seem to be somewhat derivative of each other. Number 8, the Nephite monetary system is actually less effective than the United States monetary system. That's an important point to make. And number 9, finally, Jesus misuses the term C9 in 3rd Nephi when he should have been talking about a Leah or a Shiblum. Yes, but he uses C9. So those are the different points that I wanted to make about the Nephite monetary system in Alma chapter 11. Thanks so much for joining me today. I've had a great deal of fun and learned a lot making this presentation. Thank you for hitting like. Thank you for hitting subscribe, which I ask you to do right now if you haven't already done so. And thank you to all my listeners who have gone the extra mile and made a donation at radiofreemormon.org. That's all you have to do is go to radiofreemormon.org, click the donate button, and make a donation. Today, recurring monthly donations are best as far as I'm concerned, but we'll certainly accept anything that you're kind enough to give. If you make a monthly recurring donation, $5 a month is great. If you can do more, $10 a month, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who do donate to the program. Your donations keep Radio Free Mormon broadcasting behind enemy lines. Well, that's about all for tonight. Until next time, this is Radio Free Mormon signing off the air.